Have you ever been to a place, perhaps an old house, an empty school past closing time, or the quiet back room of a museum, and felt off about it?
He had beady, narrow eyes and a yellow smile.
I'm your host, Mina Giddens, and this is Spec, our final episode for now, episode 4, Punch and Judy. Yes, we've come to the final episode of this series of Spec, more on that later, but today.
I used to come to Spec on holiday, if you can believe it.
Roy is a man in his 80s. He wears a white shirt and tie with a knitted woolen pullover over the top.
People don't come to Spec anymore. You got package holidays and people starting to go abroad in the 80s. And it died a death. But I used to come here with my mum and dad.
Let's go back in time. The year is 1947 and Roy is 7 years old. The war is over, but times are still tough. Britain topples on the edge of bankruptcy and rationing continues unabated. Roy is staying at one of several B&B hotels that sit along the cliff leading down to the Pebble Beach. There are seaside attractions, donkey rides, candy floss.
We were very happy. I think everyone was much happier back then. Simpler times. Simpler times, yes.
Can you tell everyone what happened to you?
I was on the beach. I used to go down to the beach every day before my parents and find whoever was there to play with. I'd stay out all day. I never felt unsafe.
There was one day when you felt unsafe.
Yes, well, two. Once when I fell down while I was messing about on the train tracks, and the other time at the pier.
It isn't there anymore, but Spec used to have a pier up until the mid-90s when, having long since been abandoned and fallen into disrepair, it burnt down. Back in 1947, Roy was playing underneath it near sundown when
a tall man was suddenly in front of me. He made me jump because it was like he came from nowhere. Everything was silent. I couldn't even hear the crashing of the waves. He had beady, narrow eyes and a yellow smile. I can remember him so clearly. A long brown overcoat and a hat. He came stumbling towards me. I knew he was going to grab me. I started running, and I didn't look back. I ran all the way to our hotel without stopping.
Did you tell your mum and dad?
I didn't say a word. I got told off for being late, and then it wasn't spoken of again. We went home 3 days later, and that was the last time we went to Spec. My dad, he got a new job before the following summer, and we moved far away.
Now, if that were the end of the story, things would be quite unremarkable. Roy's would be one of 1,000 such stories from anywhere. A weird man approaching a child. It's horrible, but nothing supernatural. But this is Spec, and so that's not the end of the story.
I decided to come back. I hadn't visited Spec since that summer, and I'd always remembered it fondly. I was surprised that most of what I'd enjoyed as a boy, all the attractions, had gone. Though it makes sense. But it's still a nice village. The countryside is beautiful, and the little village square. I thought I'd enjoy the landscapes and spend a few days just looking out at the sea. I was standing at the edge of the land where the old pier used to be when a woman approached me.
The woman was about 30, nondescript. Roy couldn't really give me any detail on what she looked like, just that she was ordinary. They chit-chatted for a few minutes about nothing in particular, and Roy thought she was just passing the time of day when she made him an invitation.
She told me she ran a Punch and Judy show, and that there would be a performance that evening at 10. She wrote down the name of a hotel on a piece of paper, and then she left.
For our international listeners who might not be familiar with Punch and Judy, it's a traditional English puppet show that's a staple of seaside towns. A puppeteer will have a booth set up along the seafront, Punch as a man and Judy as his wife. Antics involving crocodiles and sausages ensue. You can look up for yourself what they look like, but they're a very familiar sight for British children. Roy, what did you make of the situation?
I thought it was strange. Why run a Punch and Judy show at 10 o'clock at night? I thought maybe it was some kind of adults-only thing. I wasn't going to go.
But then you did.
Yes.
Why?
Maybe a sense of nostalgia, curiosity, or having nothing better to do. I decided to go and have a look. It was too strange to ignore.
And so, under the cover of moonlight, Roy stepped out of his accommodation and made his way to the hotel written on the piece of paper. The Imperial Grand. I'm stood outside now, and unfortunately, the hotel has been closed for about 6 months. It's currently standing empty. It's a Victorian mid-terrace, it's 4 stories tall, and was doubtless very beautiful back in its day. The plaster on the front has cracked, and the wood around the windows is rotting in the salt air. It looks unappealing, dingy. The name of Imperial Grand certainly doesn't match the impression the hotel gives.
I almost turned around when I got to the front door. It smelled like cigarettes. Stank like cigarettes. It looked unclean. But then, this sounds mad, I heard something that made me go inside.
What was it?
A whisper. It might have been the waves, but it sounded like someone whispering my name. It sounded like my mother.
Roy's mother died in 1994.
It was probably my imagination, but it surprised me so much that before I knew what I was doing, I was walking inside.
And what was the inside like?
Yeah, grubby, like the outside. The walls looked yellow with nicotine. The carpet was stained and dirty. There was a black and white sign on the wall, painted, that said, "One night, 10 and 6, which made me smile because it was the old money. It was also all vaguely familiar. I wondered if Maybe it had been one of the hotels I'd stayed in a long time ago. I could hear music faintly coming from a room down the hall.
Roy walked down the corridor until he found himself outside a room marked Entertainment Hall. Stuck to one of the double doors was a paper with Punch and Judy written on it.
I went in, but there was nobody there. I was suddenly very frightened. I felt small and alone.
It's difficult to talk about, I know. Take your time.
I hovered in the doorway. There was a stage, and on it, a Punch and Judy booth. But nobody was there with it. No audience. Nothing. Then I saw it. There was a cupboard against the wall on my left side. I almost didn't notice it because it was dark in there. But then I saw a small white hand peeking out from inside. It moved upwards like a puppeteer with a marionette. Something glinted above it from inside the cupboard. It was teeth from a smiling mouth. I realized it was that woman I'd met, smiling from the shadows, watching me. And then he came out.
Who came out, Roy?
The man from underneath the pier. He was almost close enough to touch me. He lurched forward from the shadows. I stumbled back and almost fell. He was exactly the same as he'd been. Brown overcoat, hat, yellow smile, and those beady eyes. He said, "Punch and Judy." He was laughing. When he pronounced the P, he spat, and I felt it on my face.
What did you do?
I couldn't breathe. I ran.
I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but Roy is no spring chicken. However, he ran out of the hotel fast. He ran all the way back to his own accommodation and locked the door tight behind him. The next day, as soon as the sun rose, he got in his car and left Speck.
I've never been back. I will never go back.
How do you explain it? What do you think it means?
I have no idea. I don't think I want to know. I never, ever want to see that face again.
Thanks so much for coming with me on these 4 journeys to Speck. This is an entirely independent production, paying actors, taking time to write scripts, making graphics, paying for hosting and sound effects. It all adds up. If you've enjoyed this series and you can spare a few quid, it would be much appreciated. And if you can't spare any money, that's fine, but could you give me a good review or recommend me to a friend? I'd really appreciate it. Thank you again for being here, and I hope to see you back soon for more episodes. Check the website for updates. Speck was created, written, edited and produced by Jade Zhao. Copyright Jade Zhao 2025, all rights reserved. Mina was played by me and Roy was played by Craig Lines. For more information about everything to do with this episode, please check jadejao.com. That's Jade, Jade, Zhao, Jiao.com. You can support me for the price of a cup of coffee by going to ko-fi.com/jadejao. That's ko-fi.com/jadejao. As always, your support is much appreciated. Thanks for listening.